James Thorsteinson has officially announced he's running for the MLA seat for Cutknife Turtleford, removing himself from the running in Lloydminster. Our Callan Dunlop caught up with him for more on his decision.
Today I'm joined by James Thorsteinson, who has recently removed himself from the MLA candidacy in Lloydminster and is now going for the MLA opening in Cutknife Turtleford. To start, James, can you talk a little bit about what prompted this decision?
Yep, you know what happened in Cutknife Turtleford. I don't want to get into that, but it was an opportunity for me that I saw. I knew going up against the incumbent MLA in Lloydminster against Colleen, it was a tight race. It was close. I knew that, and Cutknife Turtleford, I think, is actually even a better fit for me personally as my background and everything else. It's small town rural, and that's right the kind of people that I deal with every day in my everyday life, and I've got a lot of friends and neighbors and colleagues and stuff that I work with in that area on a regular basis already. So it was a good fit for me to go over to Cutknife Turtleford.
What sort of things do you look to offer to the Cutknife Turtleford area?
A strong voice in the legislature. The same as what I was saying when I was running in Lloydminster. It's my who I am hasn't changed, just where I am. I want to be a strong voice. Take what the people of Cutknife Turtleford, what their issues are, and take those to caucus and make sure that they are aware of the situation in that riding.
I also wanted to touch on your work with the Libby Young Center and 4-H. How will this outcome impact your work with them?
The Libby Young is a great organization that I'm honored to sit on the board of. We've come a long way in the last number of years, really improving the center and where we are. If I become the nominated candidate, I would have to step away because it is funded through government. There would be definitely a conflict of interest there. So I would have to step away from that. My volunteering with 4-H would continue. Absolutely. I would give all kinds of time to that organization. Grew up in 4-H right from the time I was old enough to get in and went right through and was part of the alumni at the university. And I have all the time in the world for that organization.
Lastly, there is a lot of change, win or lose, coming your way in the new year. How are you feeling about everything?
Good. I'm really optimistic. I've been getting really good, strong feedback from the members of Cutknife Turtleford from right from one corner of the constituency, and it's a very large constituency. It goes all the way down to Unity and over to the Battlefords. So, but I've been reaching out and talking to people, and they're very encouraged with the fact that I'm running there, and hope that I can get in. And there's going to be some changes, obviously changes personally. I won't be around home as much, and some things will have to change around here on the ranch. But change can always be a good thing. So never be afraid of change.
Are there any last things that you'd like to cover?
Just if anybody's looking to support me, they can go to my website, jamesthorsteinson.ca. Sign up there, become a member, and hopefully I can get through on the nomination. When we have that date, I will let you know for sure when we have that date set. So.
Well, that covers everything that I had. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about this.
The future of Bar Colony School has been the subject of controversy in recent weeks. I sat down earlier today with the chair of the Lloydminster Public School Division to talk more about the issue. I'm speaking with the board chair for the Lloydminster Public School Division regarding the controversy that has sprouted up over the Bar Colony School. Thank you for joining me today, David. Can you tell me a little bit more about how this all came about and how we got where we are today?
Actually, there's quite a long history. 10 years ago, we started to become aware of some challenges in the oldest part of that school. There's 6 classrooms in the middle that are 60 years old. A piece of actually wood construction building that was moved over from the east side of town and set up on a grade beam foundation. And so mold was starting to develop underneath. And so we had a study done, consultant came in, and they recommended some mitigation strategies, which were taken. extra ventilation to dry out the space, and monitoring the air quality, monitoring the building to make sure it's safe. So from that point on, the board was looking for longer term solutions. And so at that point, we pressed the ministry for a replacement school. And that didn't get approved. And then so the next thing in 2017, we requested a joint use because ministry officials said you have a better chance of getting a new school if you do it jointly. So we did that jointly with our sister school division here. But that wasn't approved. And then, of course, the perhaps surprise announcement of the addition to the high school created an opportunity because 300 and some students are going to be moved out of the K-9 system, and that creates some spaces. And so we again started to look at that. I guess I should just mention the other drivers. We have that deteriorating older building. We have the Avery building that was built in 1956. And for both buildings, there are projected significant maintenance costs around new roofs. And for Bar Colony, the older part needs windows and a roof. The Avery building is going to need a new boiler and a new roof. And so that comes together. I guess the other significant driver is the budget pressures that the board is under now. The inflationary costs are higher than what we're getting in compensating grants. And on top of that, actually, our revenues are being reduced by the way the ministry calculates our grants. So you put those three drivers together, it just meant we need to look at some options.
With the parents expressing their concerns, the board is now revisiting this issue.
We met again yesterday. We're in session until after 10 o'clock last night, reviewing some of this to sort of consider what are the options. And it boils down to really to three options. One would be to, on a temporary basis, continue to monitor air quality and the safety of the building and use it on a temporary basis while we figured out a longer solution. And that's really what we've been doing the last few years. The second option is to plan for a complete renovation of that center section of the building, which of course would have to go with an application for something that's called a minor capital project. The ministry will fund things like that if they deem it to be a high priority. And the third option really is to decommission that oldest part of the building and some of the older portables, and then repurpose the newer part of the building, which is the gym and the office and the library, that end of the building, repurpose it for something else. So it could be to house students from Avery, for example, would be an option that we would look at. For some time, we've been looking for better spaces for them. They don't have a gym, and they're in an old building. So those are the three options that will be primarily up for decision-making on December 13th.
The parents have sent a letter to the Ministry of Education. Can you tell me, have talks been ongoing between the board and the ministry over the school's future?
Yes, we've had ongoing discussions with the ministry for months now, actually for years, but again, more concentrated in the last 2 months. And they've recognized that these are legitimate concerns for the board, and it's up to a locally elected board to make decisions. We also sat down with our Saskatchewan MLA to have a discussion, and she understands this quite well. Of course, she was on the board back in 2013 when that study was done, and we sat down with the mayor and the city manager as well because this is a community thing, and so we wanted to just acquaint them with the things that were on our table and what we're looking at, and they were very understanding and supportive. They face some of the same things with some of their buildings that start to age out, and you reach a point where it isn't economical to put more money into an aging building at some point.
If the school was closed or put towards some other use for the division, what would become of those 274 students that are attending?
They would be redistributed to existing LPSD elementary schools. With taking the 300 students out of the system and move to the high school, we have space in those schools.
One of the concerns of the parents has been the future of the kindergarten that is held at the school. What would become of those students? And is the board looking at that as well?
We have been looking at that. We know that we have space in the other schools to take care of those needs. And so once this first big decision is made, then we will move to that as well. And we've discussed the advantage of having pre-K programs in schools where students could continue to reduce the number of transitions they would have to make.
David, what would you say to the families who are upset over what is happening with Bar Colony School?
Well, we had a public engagement meeting and we heard from them how strongly they felt. And I have to say, we were pleased that they were that invested in their school, and it tells us that it's been a good experience. And we certainly feel for their stress and for the anxiety. And I guess one of the things we heard was try to make a decision fairly quickly so we know. And so that is what all we can do to help them, is to say we will consider this very, very carefully, and we'll let you know just as soon as possible. And we will, as soon as the decision is made by the board, the director will lay out a clear plan so that families know as soon as possible where their children will be served.
Well, thank you for your time today, David. I do appreciate your insight, and I guess we'll wait to see what happens on December 13th.
Thank you very much.
Well, Abby is back in to have a look at our weather for today, and a little bit cooler. The cooler weather is coming in.
Yes, it wasn't too bad. It was quite sunny out today, which is always nice to have, especially at this time of year. It was a little windy though, but I had left halfway through the day and I was outside in a t-shirt, and only for a few seconds, so I was fine. But it was a very nice day out today, which is very nice because I think tomorrow we're going to have some cloudier conditions, but currently it is -3 with the 17-kilometer-per-hour winds. The wind chill feels closer to -8. So yeah, it is a bit on the chillier side, but at this time of year it should be worse. So definitely take what we can get for right now. Current temperatures across the region: -2 in Provost, Vermilion and Bonnyville, -4 in Wainwright, Cold Lake and Lac La Biche, -5 in Vegreville, and -3 out in Edmonton. And then taking a look on the Saskatchewan side: -6 in Isle Cross, -2 in North Battleford and Pierceland, -3 in Cold Lake, Meadow Lake, St. Walburg, and -2 in Macklin, -3 out in Maidstone. And then on overnight tonight in North Battleford, will drop down to -12, partially cloudy, and so it will be colder with that -12, but the wind shouldn't be too much of a factor, only 9 kilometers per hour. And then tomorrow, expect cloudy conditions throughout the day with a high of -2, with the wind speeds around 15 kilometers per hour. And then Cold Lake overnight tonight will drop down to -13, clear but cold. Again, the wind won't be a factor too much at 9 kilometers per hour. And then tomorrow, some sun, but the clouds will start to increase as the day goes on. -3 will be your daytime high with the winds at 11 kilometers per hour. Overnight tonight here in Lloydminster, the clouds will start to increase as we go further into the night. We'll drop down to -11 overnight, and the wind will be around 13 kilometers per hour. So it will still be a little bit windy, but not as windy as it's been today. And then tomorrow, like I said earlier, expect cloudy conditions throughout the day tomorrow with a daytime high of -3 and 15 kilometer per hour wind. So it'll probably feel close to around -6 with that wind chill. And then over the next 3 days here in the border city, -3 is the daytime high, like I said, for tomorrow, and then -9 will be your low. On Saturday, mostly cloudy skies, but we'll still see a little bit of cloud with a high of -2 and a low of -8. And then on Sunday, expect plenty of sunshine throughout the day with a high of +1 and a low of -5. And then we have a viewer submitted photo from Greg. Thank you again so much for continuously sending in your beautiful sunset shots around Lloydminster. I love to see it. And if you have weather photos that you would like to see on our show, please email us at weather@stingray.com. That is the first look at your evening weather forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
The Holy Rosary Raiders football team took home the Tier 3 Provincials Alberta Bowl this past weekend in a 28-6 victory over the Cardston Cougars. The Raiders players are still very excited from securing their second championship bowl in a row.
Felt really good. We put a lot of effort into it all season. We've been going from the end of summer till now, putting work in every week. We watched a lot of film to be prepared for every game, and it all paid off in the end.
One of the keys to the Raiders' success was a stout defense that only gave up 6 points in their 3 provincial games.
For me, I was mainly just trying to stop the run and then just trusting my DBs and the rest of my team that we would stop the pass and just shut them down that way.
While the team will be losing its grade 12 members, there's still a strong core of younger kids who will be ready to make another run at an Alberta Bowl next year.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of work we put in. We all work hard. Everyone pushes each other. We got great coaching. They work hard all the time in the off season. And yeah, we'll just keep working. We got a lot of guys still, so.
I'm very happy to be joined here today by author Lindsay Flanagan to talk about her new book, Anna Gray and the Constellation. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Now, Anna Gray and the Constellation is, when I was reading up about it, it's this fantasy adventure following this young girl on a journey to discover who she is and her past. And along the way, she has to make a deal with the king to bring his son back. And it seems like there's a lot of different fantasy adventure scenarios in this book. So tell me about this book and the inspiration behind it.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. It is a story about a girl who's trying to find herself. So she's 14 and she can see in the dark, but of course her parents aren't telling her why she can see in the dark. And so she goes to the wildwood because it's forbidden. And what else do you do when you're a teenager trying to get answers, right? And she meets this creature, magical horse creature who, yes, she looks like a unicorn, except she has antlers. She's actually a creation of, I'm sure there are antlered horses in all sorts of myths and stuff, but I made her my own. Um, I named her an Aobanic, so she can turn into a human, or she's supposed to be able to turn into a human. And so she says, hey, help me find my human form and I'll help you find, where why you can see in the dark. And I know people like you. And so they go on this adventure together. Get caught up in this war for the true heir to the throne. And there's a lot of fun scenes with, friendships and battles. And so it was a really fun thing to write. You asked about the inspiration. So I think it kind of came from two different places. The first thing is that I have a lot of long distance best friends, as we do in this day and age. And my friend and I were, it was about almost 10 years ago now, we were messaging back and forth. And I would always send her these stickers of these funny little unicorns. And it's called Ulysses S. Unicorn. So find it on Facebook Messenger. And I would always send those to her and she'd be like, oh, I love this unicorn. You should write a story about a unicorn. I was like, all right, challenge accepted. So I started thinking of ways that I could write a story about a unicorn. And then my daughter at the time, my oldest daughter at the time was 6 or she was 5. And she came home from kindergarten and she was like, Mom, this boy said I was weird. And I was like, oh, no, 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 that's not going to happen. So in a way to show her that weird or what makes you different is actually what makes you super special. And like you can find so much power in what makes you different. So that's how I got the idea to start writing this story. And I decided that she needed to be a little bit different than a unicorn. I wanted to make her something really more mine. And so I love languages and I started like researching different words for unicorn in different languages. And it actually comes from the Irish Gaelic word, and which I cannot pronounce, but I know it starts with AEO. So that's how I got it. And then I just kind of created it on my own. So I'm a big Tolkien fan and I love how language can feed into a story and how, um, yeah. So there it is. It's a long story for the story.
It sounds fantastic and very interesting. And when you have a fantasy book or world, you can really create anything you want in it
Yeah.
and, make it your own. Like you said, you took a Gaelic word and kind of made it your own into this creature that, could exist in mythology somewhere. But you made it your own and made it a lot more unique as well, which is fantastic. Now, with this book, what would you say that the age demographic would be for those who may be interested? Of course, anybody can read anything, but what
Yeah.
what was your focus on the demographic when you were writing this book?
I definitely was writing it for my daughters. I have 2 daughters, who are now 9 and 14, and I think that's actually the perfect range for it. My 9-year-old is reading it. My 14-year-old, who was, 5 at the time I started writing it, she actually grew up with it, all the different stories that I was creating to make this one story, and, um, the book, it's actually a trilogy. The second book comes out in August, and the third book comes out the following August. And so readers do get to grow up a little bit with Anna Gray, and it'll be more, by the end, it's more young adults. This one I like to categorize as upper middle grade, getting you ready for an even bigger and maybe even darker adventure.
Well, you answered my next question on if there's going to be more in this series. So that's perfect. And it's great that this is, fans of it will get to continue on and, like you said, grow with it, which is so, so fantastic. It's like when people were growing up with the Harry Potter books, people really grew up because the times that they were released. So that's awesome for people to be able to grow with this story. Now, finally, where can people buy this book? Where is it available? Can they get it on ebook, Amazon, Indigo, all sorts of things? Where can they find it?
Yeah, so it is available everywhere, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Kobo, like anywhere you can find books. There is paperback edition and an ebook edition. And actually on my website, which is authorlindsayflanagan.com, you can order personalized signed copies of it too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This book sounds absolutely fantastic and
Thank you.
a very unique universe as well. So I can't wait to see how the next 2 books go. So thank
Thank
you.
you. I appreciate it so much.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
Chris Buck, thank you so much for joining us today with Primetime Local News. Chris Buck is a Canadian country superstar who just came out with a brand new Christmas song, Frosty the Beer Can, which you are going to love because it is such a fun twist on the classic. But Chris, first off, welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing great. It's a chilly morning down here in Nashville. I think it's at 0, which is rare. So it's a cold one, but I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
That is so awesome. Well, Chris, before we talk about your latest Christmas release and talk about some Christmas traditions, tell us,
Mm.
how was your 2023? It seemed like a really big year for you.
Yeah, I recently just won Album of the Year at the BC Country Music Awards, which to me is like one of the hugest honors because it's all your artwork you put into an album. So I was a little surprised to win that, but also I'm so grateful that the people in the industry, I guess, took the time to listen to my songs, and yeah, I guess I won. I'm still kind of weird saying it, but yeah.
It is definitely well deserved. Congratulations for that album win. That is so special. So, what do you got going on in 2024? What can we look forward to?
Lots of new music. I have I don't even know if I should say the artist name or not. He's an A-list Canadian artist from Alberta, and he'll be featuring on a song with me coming out early next year. And I got a lot of fun songs coming out next year, so I guess people can expect to dance a lot for my new music. I don't know. Yeah. Mhm.
We're really looking forward to more new music from you because I've loved every song that you have brought out, including Frosty the Beer Can, which is such a fun twist on the classic. Now,
Mhm.
before we get on to that song here, tell us about one of your Christmases. Do you have any special traditions, any special treats that you like to eat?
Um, yes, actually, my oma, so my grandma, she used to make like ginger snap cookies, like on Christmas Eve all the time, like very thin ginger cookies. And every Christmas Eve, I have to like get either a ginger cookie or or we'll make some ginger snap cookies. My oma's long passed away, but I still keep that tradition. Uh, yeah, going for me for sure.
It sounds like a really delicious tradition. Do you have a favorite toy that you remember that you got under the tree one year?
That's a great question. I remember. I guess I got like a Sega video game system. I remember that was like a big pinnacle Christmas gift for me, and my brother and I were always fighting over like whose turn it was and stuff. But I think when you asked that question, that was the first thing that stuck out.
That's a
Sega.
pretty great toy.
Yes, it was a great toy.
What were your favorite games to play on it?
Probably like when I was younger, it's probably like Sonic. I know that sounds like cliche, but I remember I had all the Sonic the Hedgehog games, and I always used to play that all the time. Yeah.
Haven't played those games. I was more of a PlayStation girl myself, but I
Mm,
heard they're pretty fun.
the Definitely fun. Yes.
All right. Well, Frosty the Beer Can, obviously a play on Frosty the Snowman. I love your version of it. I just think it is so hilarious and so awesome. So tell us about how this version came to be.
uh, Actually, like I was finishing writing a song with another songwriter down here who's done quite well, and we were kind of just joking about Christmas songs because I've actually never put out one. This is my first Christmas song, and he said something about Frosty the Beer Can. I don't know. It came up and we laughed about it as a joke, and I'm like, we should write that for a Christmas song. And he's like, ah. And then in June, um, I guess my record company was like, you need to put out a Christmas song, and I was like, how about Frosty the Beer Can? And at first, I think they were like, I don't know about that, man. And then I'm like, give me a day to write this song and I'll send it in to you. So I sent the song back and they were like, this is really cool. And we also made it like very like honky tonk, like country chicken pecking too, which is a little bit different and changed a few melodies, but we wanted to keep it like in the I guess in the lane where it wasn't like too far, like where you couldn't play it on radio and you couldn't. So it's kind of more like you said, it's just kind of like puts a smile on your face because the lyrics are kind of silly and it talks about how beer is made and stuff like that. And like yeah, it turned out really great.
It turned out amazing. I get it stuck in my head all the time, and I'm not mad about it. And you have a way that your fans can get involved in the song a little bit too.
Yeah, so for the month of December, we're gonna be doing Frosty the Beer Can Challenge. It's just and we have a thing called poppity top top. So we did like a little bit of like a cracking a beer kind of challenge for that part of the song, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think people are gonna have fun with it.
They're definitely going to have fun with it. So, is there a hashtag that they got to get you in on?
Let's go Frosty the Beer Can Challenge and tag Chris Buckband in it, and I'll share it on my socials.
Amazing. Well, Chris,
Mhm,
thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning. Is there anything
mhm.
else you want to mention or talk about?
I hope everyone has a great Christmas. Thank you for all your support, and looking forward to putting out some new music in 2024.
Wonderful. Merry Christmas, Chris.
Merry Christmas as well. Have a great day.
Taking a final look at the next 3 days weather-wise, expected cloudy day tomorrow with a high of -3 and a low of -9. And then we get a little bit of sun on Saturday, mostly cloudy though, with a high of -2 and a low of -8. And then on Sunday, expect plenty of sunshine throughout the day with a high of +1 and a low of -5 to round out your weekend forecast. So it should be a relatively okay weekend for us weather-wise here.
Yeah, it's just incredible what we've been getting, and I think we all have to be grateful for that.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us tonight. That's all we have for you. Have a good evening.